Make sure we got this mic on today because we ain't had a lot of what I would call audio issues for the last few days. This is how we started off. Nonetheless, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we got Bear fans, but we'll say football fans across the country. Mailbox Sports, Postman 1914, and welcome in. Today, as I am usually late on this particular delivery, but we get to dive into one of the most important parts of the NFL calendar. What might you ask is that? Free agency, nonetheless. Free agency is the period of time in which those players who do not have a contract in place are able to go ahead and negotiate whatever contract they see fit with their agent and with a new team, and thus starting a new journey, perhaps, to something great. Free agency is where teams decide whether they buying time, buying talent, or buying hope. Gee, Honda, you buying a lot of hope. For the Bears this year, how can I put it? It looked like our front office is trying to deliver a bit of some overnight packages instead of some standard shipping or return to sender type things. G Honda, that's for you again. But here's the thing for everybody to understand. Free agency is only half of the story. Right around the corner, I believe the last week of April, we get some new young men to get new jobs, and those jobs come via the NFL draft. But today we talk of the free agency holes that will fill because the draft builds the future. But today we break down the present, and the present for us is every major Bears free agent signing, uh, what they bring to the roster specifically, whether or not that signing might we classify as a first class signing, or again, might I say, a return to sender. I personally don't think we have any particular situations that we render a return to sender, but I do have to understand that people have their own opinions about the way in which the team is shaped. And at that point, we get to break down no other situation than all of the recent free agent signings that the Bears have put into play. With that being said, Ken had to catch us on the what do you call it? The replay. Hope everybody hit the like button, subscribe button as I pour my beverage. Give me a moment here because we get to talk about I guess the overall question rate would be that the Bears actually improve the roster heading into the NFL draft. I know one of the fan favorites, if you will, Kevin Byard, signed a 1 year, $9 million deal with the New England Patriots. Reunited and it feels so good for him and Mike Vrabel. You might have a bit of news you can use there. Savvy veteran able to put the team in position on defense. Led the league in interceptions last year, so still a ball hawk. He'll get to have an opportunity to go ahead and I think give you a couple more good years. So even though he only your team for one, he'll be there for a while. It's gonna get us all the way locked in, Rach, because this is the off-season delivery truck, and I think the Bears totally improved, though in a moderate way, a real minor upgrade, if you will, overall, but an upgrade nonetheless. Uh, the draft is what I classify as the package inside the mailbox, but the letters that come before that has to be the people that we get right here in free agency, and so we have to wonder, did we get something worth signing? And Rach, for me, while I can appreciate everybody's contribution to the team, and I understand totally that Kevin is an important piece or was an important piece to the defense, I am heavily a proponent of that thing right there on my chest, the thing above my head, as opposed to the names on the back. While I will tell you that I didn't particularly like it, the whole time, if I had a choice between the two safeties to keep, I would have kept the younger version, which would be Mr. Bayard. I believe is 32. Don't make me misquote his age. Nonetheless, Jaquan Brisker was a lot younger, and I would have preferred to keep the younger asset. I do know that he may have, in some ways, outpriced himself with his former team, the Bears, because a 1 year deal wouldn't seem so lucrative for a former second round draft pick with your current team when last year on film you may have had, I guess, a pretty decent season that says you deserve a raise. So it bittersweet, but I understand the things that we had to do. Nonetheless, I'm more about pruning the tree and seeing what things have to be done. I did put out a couple of shorts today that kind of, I guess, articulate that from the coach's perspective, and then to give us a bit of a tidbit for plans still in the off season that may not have been publicized, signed, traded for, drafted, or mentioned as of yet. But it was something that was mentioned last year that perhaps, Robbie, we might get into. Don't know if you heard any of the new updates about the way in which some players on the Bears may be used this offseason. Well, moving into the regular season, as it was discussed last off season by one Dennis Allen. So if anybody wants to know about those things, along with the signings that we got, Robbie, we are doing. Robbie, you caught my attention with your post right there. Salute to you on day one. I know it's always a good thing to try to cut down, and if you realize seriously a 30-day decrease to see where the surplus of money can come from, not something that I typically get to focus on holistically, but I'm happy for you. So you happy about DeMarco Jackson? Before we get into any of the incoming free agents, before we get into any grades or anything like that, I want us to go ahead and Robbie, you brought it up, and we gonna look at the screen there. We have some guys that I want to talk about that I think are important for the re-sign value that they give to the team, and I think that people often may overlook some of the depth parts, the people who know the system, special teamers, and so on and so forth. So if you look at it, we can see here, and we have others on there. We're gonna read from the bottom up. We acquired Garrett Bradbury rather quickly after the news of Chris Dolman, Drew Dolman. Why I keep calling him Chris? It's Chris Dolman for real, but that's whose name cut in my mind. But Drew Dolman retired. We pivoted rather quickly with Garrett Bradbury. We also, the day after that, re-signed Elijah Hicks and Daniel Hardy to 1 year deals, well, 2 year deals, I believe, for Daniel and DeMarco. Elijah, I'm not too certain, but I believe it was a 1 year. The guy you just talked about, DeMarco, is, I think, a valuable signing, and it signals one of the same moves Poles has, tried before with the 2-for-1, meaning cut Tremaine Edmonds. That saved about $15 million under the cap. He then turned around and gave Devin Bush about $11 million a year, I would like to say. And not even this year, but when it actually kicks in. And then they gave DeMarco a 2 year contract as well. So I think you got two linebackers for the price of one. Look at that. Look at Broski Bear. Welcome in to you, man. Hit that like button. Say Bayard will be 33 when the season starts. Notice Bayard, Brisker, and Nashawn only got 1 year deals. Okay, and we definitely gonna get into that one right there. Just because Broski Bear, I agree with the way in which they did it. Laro, how you feeling today? Jalen Jones is a special teamer and a depth piece. So to see somebody like him be re-signed rather quickly is something that I'm happy about. Just the same, that gives you like depth that we don't understand. And like Broski says, Bayard was a monster last year, but an older player repeating that for multiple times or multiple seasons, I don't know that it can really go about happening in that way that would tell us that the sustainability is going to be there. Nation, just the same. While I won't try to look at Nation with age, the productivity of leading the league in takeaways won't be there year to year. And we've seen that he was a bit more of a 50-50 player in terms of success rate. Brilliant, beautiful one-handed interceptions. Then he get beat like a drum. And so I think that the pruning that they did right there, we took a prudent way to get value by not re-signing those guys. Uh, and it also gives you the opportunity to somewhat pivot and turn the page holistically to implement a system. And I do believe that on defense, the system is always easier to implement as opposed to the whole notion of the offense learning the system. So I don't think that it'll take the same amount of time for Dennis Allen to get new guys acclimated. I do think that the reinforcement brought in this year stabilizes, if not improves the way in which we play, just based on the notion that they like to play with a bit more speed. So I'm hoping that speed is paired with skill when we sign these guys. But we do get to see also. Let me see if we got anybody else that I missed out on that we are re-signed. Braxton Jones was a re-signee, and I know a lot of people don't like specifically the Braxton Jones re-signing, but on the whole, to have a guy that knows the system, that will have his first healthy off season, to say the least, he'll have the opportunity to gain some weight, or he's had the opportunity from the past up until now to go ahead and get in that weight room. You know how your offensive line coach feels about you and what he thinks you need to do. I'm pretty sure they gave him homework in the off season, or in the player eval. So you hope that the continuity that he does have over any other guy that might come in, along with a Benedette, in terms of his veteran savvy and experience, may be something that he can continue to build upon. It's, again, a prove it year for Braxton, so it gives him at least the opportunity to compete. They have already addressed the line in a different capacity via free agency, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But they still have the opportunity to do so in a variety of different ways in the draft. So while I understand that the signing of Braxton was more so a value, continuity, and familiarity signing, others would look at it as a terrible signing based on Braxton's track record. But let's be fair, have a fifth round player give you numerous amounts of serviceable starts in the NFL. I think we have to say that he is adequate, and based on the market, being adequate and familiar with the system, I think gives him a leg up in some ways over those persons on the outside or people incoming. Nonetheless, he got to go ahead and prove it, and it gives him the perfect opportunity to do so. I'm fully on board with believing that opportunity will come. Let's see if you capitalize on it. Up to you, buddy. It's all up to you. So at that point, we will get right into the crux of the offensive line and reinforcements, Robbie. We did a lot, in my estimation, to build up reinforcements. While those reinforcements may not be at all levels starter quality, it may in some ways go ahead and, what do you call it, stabilize some depth that wasn't so stable. And Broski Bear says signing Braxton was a desperation signing because the only other option at left tackle right now is Benedict. Uh, and granted, desperation may be the word you choose to use, but everything that I just listed is spot on and synonymous with your classic illustration, in my estimation, of being desperate. I ended it all with lack of variety. So the lack of variety there, it at least gives him an opportunity based on his familiarity to not be the worst signing right there. But hopefully we'll get more information moving forward to find out exactly if Ozzy will be a viable option moving forward. But if not, oh, Broski, I'm so glad you brought that up because Jordan McFadden was re-signed, and I did, in fact, not mention the 1-year contract that Jordan McFadden got. So I'm happy to have overlooked that and glad you brought it to my attention. He 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 definitely, and Benedict's gonna gain some weight just the same way, weight and skill, and 1 year more in the league. You know, his first year he spent on the IR. Last year was his first true season playing in the NFL. He's undersized, so both of those guys have what I think are the same problems physically. Braxton, from all accounts, according to Rauscher, is that he has the skill set inside of him, and it is displayed at times. But being as though he was a fifth round player, I guess the flaw is that he cannot do it consistently enough to nullify. So the fact that he's not able to hold form on a consistent basis has rendered him a desperation signing, if we will. Not to mention, uh, another two guys, as far as we needed some strength in terms of physical run blockers. We needed an experienced starter at center, and we needed a veteran presence. So we went out and we acquired Bradbury. We acquired or reacquired Braxton Jones, and the dart throw they went out and they acquired Jedrick Wills. Now, Rauscher has intimated that Newman is able to play center and has taken snaps at center as of last year. At the same time, they had a heavy presence of draft scouts at Sam Heck's, what do you call it, pro day. That's what I'm looking for. And that was at Kansas State, I believe, right? So they still have invested resources in the scout in the center position. Bradbury is the guy that'll be there right now. They might address the center position, mid-round or something like that moving forward. And tomorrow we'll start our first endeavor into having an interactive draft stream. So tomorrow we will have a 7-round mock draft. The chat will vote on who we select via poll. The chat will select if we trade up or down via poll, and we will go ahead and have a whole interactive engagement when it comes to our first version of getting into the meat of the things that Bears still need as of now, as free agency has kind of, at least the first through tertiary type of ways have kind of tapered off. You still might have some cuts and everything like that later, but for now, that is where it pretty much goes. I think like you say, Bradbury can't start the season, and a rookie can learn behind and take over eventually. Backfield Braxton, yeah. And so Broski, that's why I believe if he's able to go ahead and get some weight to his base, which he hasn't proven to do so yet, if he can get it up here that he needs to, and he does he does a better job at gaining weight and actually being able to utilize said weight, I think it'll give him a leg up initially. But the guy that they brought in as a free agent on a 1 year deal, Jedrick Wills, did take a year off. He was a former first round pick, so he does have the caliber, or what's the word I'm looking for? My apologies. The premium stock when it comes to tangibles, skill set. And so we look at those types of things and wonder, is he totally healthy? And can Dan Rauscher be the guy to get a guy like Jedrick Wills playing at the optimal level, the first round pick that he was? And if he does do that, what does that spell for Ozzy Trapillo? Ozzy won't be returning until late in the season, if at all this season. But if Jedrick is able to, let's say, win out that battle in training camp, that gives you one less thing to worry about, as you're gonna have a monster of a swing tackle in Ozzy. Quite possibly somebody that's able to transition into another position down the line, and it gives you a left tackle and right tackle of the future if the lottery ticket that you scratching in the name of Jedrick Wills is able to go ahead and give you some value via the coach that we have. Because if the signing work, that means we got better pass protection. I think a more consistent run game, in the sense that I don't think that drops off too much. Bradbury had a pretty decent run game last year in terms of grade, and maybe fewer negative plays. I noticed at times last year, as much as I like Drew Dahlman, snaps over Caleb's head or high snaps over a Monungai or whomever were an issue at times. Maybe that can be nullified. And I think in the NFC North, especially, even though it matters everywhere, in our division, in the black and blue, the trenches matter. Injury history, inconsistent pass protection in previous seasons, I should say, from Jones and Wills, give both of them an opportunity to revitalize their careers, give themselves a better chance on the market next year, even if it's not with us. And I think those are the things that give me more confidence on the offensive line. So yes, I do agree we may address the center position so that we can get a better foothold on it for the future over Bradbury. But until they tell us that they won't go ahead and add at any point or at any part of the line, I won't rule them out, but I will stand by to see exactly how they get it done. Free agent wise, let's go ahead and get a poll up and see what grade would you guys give when we talk about the draft here. Let's go ahead and see what grade would you give them. What grade? And while we doing this, go ahead and hit that like button if you have not. There goes the poll. Backfield Braxton. Backfield Braxton. Yeah. Always in the backfield. Mm-mm. Backfield in motion. Mm. We about to get into the good polls out there. Rachel, you can leave it out there, Rachel Cubed. Hey, some sometimes I actually do get it done on time out there. Sometimes I get it right. I'm proud of myself for just a moment. Just a moment. I'm a better guy for it. I think things are running rather smoothly. We're gonna find out. as we move into what I classify. Uh, Let me see. What would I do? Robbie took my grade. I thought of it as a solid B. I think that, yeah, not expecting Dahlman to retire and being able to pivot so quickly to a reliable center, especially with the aftermath of how center activity went, kind of gave us a a look into how Ryan and Ben can put their minds together and watch them work. Broski got a C for us. Maybe some choir harmonizing or something for him. I don't, I, Maybe not the best, but and I do believe that Robbie, um, the line will be addressed. I'm thinking more so center because as Broski said, a 1 year stopgap would seem to be what Garrett is, but we'll get to figure it out because I think the line like priority shipping, you know, maybe not like overnight express importance, but it'll get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So nice ground and pound out here for the team. Some solidarity and a little bit of tutelage under Dan Rauscher give everybody the opportunity uh, to be just that much better for me. So I, for me, just on the season right now, on the whole, for this season in particular, I am willing to believe they have done enough to remedy issue for this year. But if they added anything else to it, i.e., a third wave of what do you call it? Third wave of signing when you go out there and maybe a Taylor Decker is still available for the vet minimum, then maybe we talk about it that way. Well, Rach, I need to get a better bar. Even though he got a long neck as a giraffe, I need to get a higher bar because right now, it ain't that good for me out here. If he the bar, and I didn't even realize while we talking about the bar, Coach Chelsea got her ones and twos going out there today, and I didn't realize that I was missing the show. Nonetheless, we do get into what do you call this next situation here? Front office and the defensive line, Robbie. Man, you know what? Coping skills, for one, Robbie, are the best ways that we are able to deviate from activities that we don't want to participate in. And so when you speak of things like sports talk, um, playing sports, engaging in things with the wife, watching a movie, things like that, those do kind of give out that endorphin rush that would replace the need for those things. So it is therapeutic. I appreciate you being able to look at it from a therapy lens. Makes me sad sometimes I'm not still a therapist, but I think being a mailman, I still can deliver uh, a fairly good message to individuals as opposed to being stuck to diagnoses, treatment regimens, interdisciplinary team meetings, and integration programs and things like that. So shout out to all therapists. All way with it. All right, and let me see right here because if we don't know everybody today, I'm adding a new segment to our stream, and the new segment is a mail segment. We're gonna do a fan mail. So I told everybody that if you in the Discord sent me any questions that you wanted to have asked on stream, we were gonna do that. Um, Rachel Cubed is an avid supporter, and Rachel got a question that I am going to post us before we get out of here today. Not right now, but I thought about it when she just gave us a question here, and her question, Ken, was, "Do I think the Bears will have a better season this coming year versus last year?" Rachel, I do believe we'll have a better season than we did last year. And by better, I think we'll have a more connected, consistent, and convincing season. So by that to be expounded upon, I think my offense will be more consistent and help my defense immensely in the way they operate. I think that my defensive flexibility and performance will be vastly improved. If not, I won't have a defensive coordinator. Um, Also, I want to, yeah, Sam Beck. That's the guy I'm talking about from Kansas State. Uh, Also, I think it gives them one more year to learn how to put teams away early, so that we don't have to go on the back and forth to come from behind. Give our defense an opportunity to pin them ears back and not get burned on third down. And on third and long, they need to be able to execute. But I think new staffing will help them out with that. And we do need the O-line to gel fast. I've heard about a couple centers, and we're going to get to all of those. But right now, as far as free agency, we're going to get into the defensive line, because the Bears, in my estimation, clearly want to upgrade the free agent. Want to upgrade the pass rush. But I don't think that the intent, at least based on the options available to us specifically, in the way in which they were willing to create cap space, versus what they think they can get in the draft. I think that those were heavily factored into the guys that we picked up. And I say that because we cannot survive in this NFL without pressure. Pressure has not been anything, what do you call it? It's not been anything that we can speak of, because we don't do it very well. I do believe that Gallimore and Kentavious Street are depth pieces, rotation pieces that have given out high level performance at times. So that high motor, for Gallimore, the size in the middle that helps collapse the pocket, those types of things will give you the opportunity to bolster the pass rush. But you have to be able to understand that the other guys in the draft have to be, unfortunately, dependent upon heavily, along with some better performances from guys last year, in order for the whole chain to move properly. And say, is Bradbury a free agent after next year? I believe so. I think he only had 1 year left on his deal. I don't know that they would do anything different with him. That's why I still believe they're looking at an expanded roster of centers right now. When you talk about the guy from Kansas State, the guy from Iowa, I think they even looked at somebody down in the SEC. But we'll look more into that, because tomorrow, like I said, Ken, we're going to have a mock interactive draft. So we're going to try to address every need that we need in the draft, indeed. Young players taking steps forward for Broski Bear, Caleb, Rome, Luther, Walker, Jade all day, baby, coasting. Theo Benedette, I agree. You're going to get some more weight on him and more experience. Ruben Hippolyte and Austin Booker. I believe Booker will be a more refined pass rusher this year. I don't think he'll ever be a rush expert or a guy that's going to tremendously help us on the run, which is why I think he's a rotation guy. But I do believe his sack total will and his impact when he's on the field will be heavily felt, because I don't think they'll have to rely on him as much. I think his snaps will go back, but his impact will go up, if you ask me, just for a guy like Austin Booker. So I think that the guys they did get, when we talk about Gallimore and when we talk about Street, are guys that really do some things. Yeah, he said, hey, you know the ones that make sense, man. Make it make sense always. Uh, what do you call it? We need to generate more pressure up the middle, and collapse people on the edges as well. Close out games late, because, like I said, last year we were on the offense trying to come back. This year I need us to be a bit more holistic in all forms. I believe that some of the signings they made address the special teams, defense, and offense to improve them all. So it gives us a relief from pressure on the secondary if you can get those guys in the middle to go ahead and do their jobs, thus helping the guys on the end to go ahead and collapse and crush that pocket. You know, there's concern about the guys, like I said, they've only had fluctuating production. We've seen that happen before. I think that you should be able to look at the tape and understand what you have and know that what the players are. Some players with more time will get better. Some will always be what they are. And if you can look at a guy who has had like, maybe 8 sacks from the defensive line in 4 years, the best he's gonna get you is 5, 6 sacks in a season. That's his best. What are you paying for that amount of sacks? Know what you think the maximum is out of a guy. And if you get a guy up the middle who you think 3.5 to 4 sacks is something he can produce for you consistently, along with a lot of pressures and collapsing that pocket, and he's gonna take a step forward. And maybe a guy like Neville is able to. I'm a Potter fan, so maybe he's able to go ahead and create a spell to get some things going in his favor. I think that it's more than viable for him to be able to do so, and I'm anxious to see just what could happen with the new guys. Even though they don't do what you call as make a splash, they're not the guys that I'm going to consistently be able to look at and say, man, y'all really got to get everything going all by yourself to get things done. I'm going to believe that it's better for him to slowly integrate. In a minute, had to get that done, and we see motherfuckers. But you picking your battles appropriately, just like I think we are picking our battles in free agency appropriately. Whereas you can't spend all of the money in one ingredient. We trying to make a meal, so we got to be able to get the heart of the meal has to be perfect in terms of if we making some sort of chicken pasta, the chicken has to be grade A. That pasta, A. Maybe you gotta hand make it yourself, i.e. the draft. So you can't go out and get the best store bought, the organic kind. Maybe you gotta make it yourself, and that homemade is gonna do something for you. So you hope that the balance of prudent spending, because everyone talks about budget spending and you bought on the bottom shelf. I'm hoping that sometimes you realize that you find things at the thrift store and the flea market that do just as well to provide for your household as the things that you got from the top rate shops, consignment shops, and everything else. You have to be able to get it from everywhere. And I know I've listened to ESPN acknowledge, at length talk about being able to get free agents and trade and draft. And they get fixated on this because they say we haven't done it because of the defense. So when they talk about the defense, is we have to trade. We got to do no. They made trades this offseason. They made free agent signings, and now they got to get to the draft. And right now, like Broski say, we got 4 picks in the top 90, 5 in the top 130, plus 2 7th-round picks. It is no need to trade up and down all around. You can stay where you at and hit on these picks, but also, Broski, if you are able to do things like go ahead and see players that you like, let's see, you got 2 of them, and you dropping down 3 spots to pick up you another piece of weaponry for next year or this year, you listen. You don't have to take any trades. If you wanted to trade up, you could. If you really wanted a player. But like you said, make the right picks. Hit. I don't know that it's feasible for anybody to hit on all picks, but last year we did a good job of hitting on a fair amount of them. So Ken, be safe. Do what you got to. Appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. And we want to make sure that consistency is not an issue this year. Because last year, consistency in itself was one of the things that got us totally off the loop in terms of being the best team that we could be, because I think that consistency on both sides of the ball greatly impacted how we went about handling our business on the whole. And I think that makes us look better on both sides of the ball. But when we speak of both sides of the ball, we're going to get to what we think the grade is. So right now, we're going to get into it. Let's get a grade out here. As we see, B was the overarching grade for the offensive line. Appreciate everybody who gave us some signings out there. I appreciate the feedback. Next, we get onto the defensive line. D-line signing. Did you like them? If anybody, again, got any questions, I know the Discord pops up periodically throughout the chat. Go right ahead and answer that poll. And also hit that Discord, join the Discord, and go right ahead and feel free to ask questions at any given time for us. Understand? Do we underdig? And give us some suggestions for what we call some fun streams. I want us to have some non-bear related streams that still stick to the sports spectrum, but they give us a bit of enjoyment. If we want to do a review on some Funky Fresh or a 4th and 1 with Cam Newton, if we want to look into some of the hot takes of the week on sports in general, listen and give our own feedback to a couple things, let me know in the chat. We'll try to clip up some things, pull from various sources, review some shorts, and see if we got anything that may be a bit more humorous to the palate, as opposed to always being so serious, nailing down the Bears, Bears. But hey, old Bears teams, and I don't mind doing old Bears trivia and everything else like that. We can do a tribute. We can put together our all Bears team if we want to. So I do a weekly poll, like a what do you call it? A bracket. Since March Madness is coming up, we'll do a bracket. And I got a question I'm putting in my post this week, so check it out. Is anybody interested in doing March Madness brackets? I will, in fact, be hosting a ESPN March Madness poll, or bracket, I should say. Anybody's able to join. Give me their thoughts on who will cut down the nets moving forward in March. I don't watch much college basketball, but I love me some March Madness, so y'all check it out. We gon' put the link together once we go ahead and do that one, and let us go ahead at the Selection Sunday. I believe is next week, so that'll be something that we can move into. Family, friends, everybody's welcome to play. It's not just for the people that are in the chat. I'm all about everybody being able to do things that prove us right or wrong. Because I'm not told you so tight. I like to have a little bit of fun with things, and I like to win. So my competitive gene is going to break out right there. Nobody has to know anything. I don't know very much about it myself, but we going to get it done. Dig? And one day I'm two topics could be fun discussing NFL. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing how some of these teams have put things together, because as much as people don't think that Kyler is relevant, I think Kyler's pretty good. And right now, everybody, what I'm trying to figure out is I have a, what do you call, a vertical stream going, and I need everything to catch up in the vertical stream. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how that will work for me. Uh, but I'm a bit of a bot, so I mean, I might not figure it out today, but I do need to figure out exactly how I can see that wonderful feature so that I can get people involved and interested in staying around. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's see what that grade is before we move on to finding out if this is an express delivery to the defensive line. Because if our pass rush can get home every Sunday, I think that uh, Soldier Field is going to be a place where people don't really want to try to deliver anything. If you ask me, it's going to be important for us to do so. We're going to find out exactly what goes on with our secondary help in one moment. But before we get there, we introduce something new to everybody out here. So let me see if we can get it for you. And today is today's Postman section of fan mail because you've got mail. So I'm going to keep it right where it is. We are going to pull up one specific question so that I can read it verbatim, as I don't want to miss anything about it. So y'all give me a moment as we get some news that we can use. We talk about questions of the week. Here's our question here. Here's our question. And our question says, I am very confused. If you can break down this, I would be just great. All right, so it says, why is it that Dak Prescott has such a large contract? He has not won a Super Bowl at any time, or at any time has he been a captain. So how can somebody command this much money and not produce any results? To me, he's just as bad as the previous quarterback that was there. I don't even like to read his name, but I guess his name's Tony Romo. And the answer to that question, Frederick Cubed, is this. In the NFL, while it is not slotted, the quarterback position has a connotation assumed that is the next man in line. And so, typically, when you are a quarterback that exceeds expectation, which to be fair to Dak, as a fourth round quarterback from Mississippi State, he has vastly exceeded expectation as an individual on the football field. It's been highlighted by some team failure, but typically the next quarterback in line signs what they classify as the next biggest deal. So if Dak signed for 260, the next person that signs their deal, that is a good, or what they classify as an elite quarterback, will sign a $270 million contract if it's in the same year. Or if it's the next year up, it's going to be like a $320 million deal. For example, by the time Caleb Williams brings himself to a contract, he will be in the market for quarterback to command something around, I would estimate, $60 to $70 million a year. And so while some quarterbacks may not at all give you the impetus to deserve the amount of money that Dak makes, his money was next in line money. And so if you are not like a recycled quarterback, for example, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, those guys were bad at their first stop, so they got cut and sent to another team. At that point, those teams are getting throwaway or somebody's old news, and so you are resetting the market for the reclamation project. Whereas Dak has been in the MVP voting in at least 3 of the seasons he's played in the NFL. One of which, if he hadn't got hurt, he would have won the MVP. Uh, his metrics, as Broski Best said, they stand out all the time. He throws for hella yards and touchdowns. And I know some people may say this in meaningless situations, but I think sometimes we put together the regular season and postseason failures. And Peyton Manning, if you ask me, is one of the best regular season quarterbacks, but one of the worst playoff quarterbacks when it comes to just the overall bones of what you need going on. So I think that as long as the quarterback position is the most important position in sports, it will continue to snowfall or snowball, I should say, into quarterbacks like Dak and everybody else, because only one quarterback can win, continuously getting an excessive amount of money. The new guys coming up this year that are eligible for deals. Let's say if the Texans decided to re-sign C.J. Stroud, the last 2 seasons for C.J. Stroud, I think, have been mediocre to bad. But if he is able to go ahead and be re-signed by the Texans, he's going to get a bag. And it's going to be about $55 to $60 million a year. So his deal is one of the ones that may be taking place this year. Stay tuned and pay attention to the money that C.J. Stroud or people in his draft class, like a Bryce Young, if they might exercise fifth-year options, which I think they already did. But I think it's time to pay those guys and see what kind of money they get out here, and then explain to you that while no quarterback, in my estimation, is worth the money they get, because I don't think athletes are worth the money they get. The market dictates what you're worth, and the market tells you that the next man up don't get more than that 240 that Dak got. But that's how they break down people getting their money. And we talk about people getting their money. We talk about the secondary the Bears have addressed, because we did get a question earlier, I believe, from Robbie on secondary, and I did not forget it, but wasn't quite the segment for it, and I want to bring it up and get out of character here, because we did address the secondary through free agency twice, no less, in the form of Kobe Bryant and Cam Lewis. Kobe Bryant and Cam Lewis, Buffalo Bill, former guy. Kobe Bryant, former Ram. No, Seahawk. My apologies. Shout out to the Seahawks. Both of those guys got a little bit of new money. Kobe got the most. He is expected to be one of the premier pieces to the secondary as far as safety goes. And I heard of some very interesting news today, rehashed, when we talk about the safety position. Rachel, thank you for the question. And anytime people have questions, feel free to join the Discord, to send them to the email mailboxsports3@yahoo.com, or any other situation you might have. Works for me. Questions on stream, questions. But if you give it to me ahead of time, it allows us to put it into the mailbox and give us a highlight for the person that took the time to ask the question, because today you got mail, and I appreciate reading it. Nonetheless, Kobe Bryant, not the Mamba, unfortunately. Cameron Lewis have what we classify as strong coverage abilities, especially for Kobe. He has some versatility, as he has played, I believe, every position in the secondary. So he is a jack of all, and a bit of veteran presence these days. If they have to go out and get a new guy via draft, he is the guy that has been around, seen it all, seen most of it, and got a ring, so he can speak to the grind. Gives him the opportunity to be the vet. But safety, if anybody had not understood or heard, could already be addressed, because if the safety position is addressed properly, like it has been thus far, in my opinion, It allows us to play more aggressive in coverage. The blitz will happen a bit more often because of the personnel that we have. And we can ultimately reduce the big plays because it allows you to seal off certain parts of the field that were exposed last year due to a lack of speed and ability to get to the ball and make big plays on it. The experience within the system and adjusting to the scheme, those are things that may be concerned at the time. But I think DA has a time to coach them all up, not to mention that all of the defensive backs go to Al Harris University. And that one part in itself is able to have me, when it comes to talking about anybody, and I mean anybody that we get in the secondary, when they ask me, do I have any problems with them or am I upset that we got them? Hell no. I trust them implicitly. And if you don't trust them, this is what we got for you.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
That's what I mean. We don't fucking care. We can't do it that way. We can't live in that right there. I think this position, T. Miles, is one of the ones that's going to be very, very interesting because I don't have the clip, but I posted the clip for a short. Go ahead and check that short out if you want to. And it speaks to Dennis Allen last year talking about Kyler Gordon potentially moving to safety. And he spoke about this because of the versatility that Kyler has, similar to a Kobe Bryant. He talked about it at length. But the reason that it didn't happen, in my estimation, last year is because of injury. He was never healthy for the full season. Started the offseason on the shelf. And crooked commission, Kyler didn't get the opportunity to work in with the second part of the secondary. So to hear Dennis Allen talk about being able to possibly use Kyler Gordon as the new safety to pair with Kobe Bryant, what will people think about that? What would be you guys' thoughts? If Kyler Gordon would be moved to safety to pair up with Kobe Bryant, would you be happy? What will be the thoughts about that particular thing? Because I think that it works in a brilliant way. Because I believe both of them have the range and versatility to be able to play deep and cover as the last line of defense because of their tackling poise and ability. And I think that DA hinted already that it can happen, man. It can go. You solve a position already in the secondary. You give other opportunities for via draft to get another guy in. You give an opportunity for Zay Frazier to prove that he can be of service and possibly a starter. You give a guy like Terrell Smith coming off of ACL injury. If he's healthy, those guys are able to step in alongside Jalen Johnson. Not to mention, as much as people don't like him, he's going to have one more year to do it and one more chance to prove it. Tyreek Stevenson could be your starting cornerback opposite of Jalen Johnson. So moving Kyler to safety in some ways frees you up in a lot of other ways. You can draft your nickel guy in a later round. You don't have to expend so much of a draft capital in terms of the high-end draft capital right there as far as getting things locked in for you. And so those are the things that's going to totally help me out to be excited when you think about the ways in which a shuffling of the deck, per se, might be able to help us out. And welcome to the Postal Game, Los Zudaris Aldana. Gracias por la suscripción. And you might not even be Spanish, but if you are, there you go. Nonetheless, we talk right now because we've been recapping all of the free agent acquisitions and seeing how they fit in for grades. I think the last grade that was given over here was for the defensive line. And I believe we are going to end the poll on that one because we got our next grades to come up. We are ending with a C for the defensive line grades, T. Miles. So if you got thoughts as far as the grade go for the offensive line in the offseason so far and the defensive line, go ahead and drop those thoughts about it. We talked about the re-signing of all of the former players and how we felt about those particular re-signings with the likes of Jordan McFadden, DeMarco Jackson, Jalen Jones, Braxton Jones, so on and so forth. So let us know what you think about those guys as well as we get into the meat and potatoes over here, because I give those guys a B minus when it comes to the secondary. I think it's like certified male to me. You know, it's dependable, not flashy on the whole, but if you are able to transition and put Kyler back there with Kobe, I think it light off fireworks. Like like I do believe that Cam Lewis is more of a depth piece, or he could be the nickel corner that we talk about because he has had the opportunity to play nickel. So I think his versatility there is perfect in complement to be able to shift those guys around to kind of offset some of the things that happened last year. Kyler has to stay healthy, granted, and that's understood. But Kyler got big money. Kyler has the ability to pretty much do those things for me, and it really does give you that. And if Dylan is still there, and that's the person they want to act on tomorrow, I mean not tomorrow, broski. I'm thinking about us tomorrow. If they want to act on him and pull the trigger on the Dylan Heineman, or however they might say his name, I'm on board with. It's very little they can do to shake my faith in the way in which they want to go direction wise, because the first season got off with no hitch, and the methodical way in which Ben put it together says that he has a bit more thought about things. The interviews and the pregame pressers, postgame, and all things like that kind of gave me peel back of the curtain to understand that he is not one of those naggy guys who likes to ask about the why but don't really know about the damn why. So to see that they have a what I think is a firm grip on the way in which they do things is cool. I did a video today as well, highlighting some potential holes that we can plug through the draft, or in terms of potential guys, just some names that we can look up. Feel free to look that video up right there. It's going to give you a highlight from the offensive line down to all the positions we're speaking about now, but it will go ahead and give it to you in a bit more of a short buzz clip. I think it's a minute video or something like that. It is a video, not a short. So go and check that out over there. And it's going to give us the opportunity to kind of look at some of the other moving pieces if, in fact, like I said, we take the step to rearrange the deck chairs. You got position depth or targets for both aspects of cornerback and safety when we speak about the way in which it goes, broski. And hey, sometimes we speak the same language, sometimes we not, but it gives us the opportunity to kind of attack this from all angles, because these next few weeks are critical for the way in which they're going to shape the team. You picked the lane when you didn't go after one of the more notable or one of the more productive targets in free agency when it comes to the pass rush. And so when you pick a lane, which I got no problem with, I'm not irritated in the least bit that you decided to put a large factor of your faith into the draft being your answer on the defense. However, as we stated earlier, better get it right. You got to hit. The picks better make sense and they better make plays. Because otherwise, we got it wrong and we got a problem. But right now, I think we're pretty good with that right there. But if you just came in, make sure you hit the like button. If you're enjoying the stream, subscribe to the channel, share the content. We do have playlists to watch. We do have full stream video and shorts. Your boy is approaching the close time of what we classify as monetization out here in these YouTube streets. So we need everybody to go ahead and pour in, tune into those playlists. Give me a tab when you got a chance. Hit those comments as often as you can. And we can even go back through some of the older videos to build content moving forward, because those conversations are just as impactful now in some capacities as they will be in the future, because the draft, free agency, trades, it never changes. The names change, the premise stays the same. Go ahead and hit that button, because I want to know up to this point, which free agent signing are you most excited about? For me, I would have to say that it is a guy that we're about to get into. Pause after we get to the skills positions because this linebacker might be one of the creme de la cremes. Hey, and you said it, broski, and that's why I'm thinking about those things right there. The way in which they took the safe route of trying to implement health and productivity simultaneously. And I think the only way they can do that in the secondary is through pruning. Because like you said, health, age, performance, it's all relevant. So I really want to be able to see if they can match those elements up through the same lens of being able to, how do I want to put it? The guys you want to bring in this timeline, let's sync them up in skill, youth, and availability, if that makes sense. Ray say when. So Rach, obviously you get the hours done when you get the hours done. My goal and the goal I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna get this done before my anniversary next month. My anniversary is April 20th. Before April 20th gets here, the boy will be we'll be a little bit more excited to open up these mailbox sports for you because I think it's gonna happen. Nonetheless, every day we get to talk about the Bears. It's a good day, and I'm happy that we get to talk about my team, football, and sports in general on days that football is not going on because we know it's March right now. College basketball, a lot of other things going on. We're seeing a lot of different skills. And none of those skills are on the football field, but we will bring up a small addition to the skill positions out here. And I think this addition answers a couple questions, even if they go out and via practice squad for a JP Richardson and elevate him, even if they go draft another speed guy, this skill position and wide receiver slash kick returner is the guy I think is one of those underrated signings that people don't get so happy about, but maybe we should. As we know, they didn't re-sign Devin Duvernay. Don't know what Devin will be next year. Salute to him as his best years are behind him. Playmaking ability. I did a short check out some of the clips. Versatility in terms of being able to be a kick returner on site and still being young enough to have that vertical speed to take the top off and catch plenty of deep balls, especially I can watch you do it against the Bears. It might be good to bring a guy who is familiar with Ben's system to the fold, like a Durham Smythe was in the tight end room. Now you get to bring that when you have a bit of a young room. Who better to bring into your young room than a guy that knows the system inside and out? And Khalif Raymond was a on point target for me because he is a deep threat for you. He's a veteran that knows the system, so he can hold people accountable for the way Ben and Antoine Randall L wants to do things, and he becomes the elder statesman of the room. Now, Broski believes that we need to bring in another wide receiver. I would disagree on the need part. As I said, I think that JP last year was a undrafted free agent that they were pretty high on, and the ability to elevate him this year may be something they look to do just like they did for Jade by keeping him on the roster as undrafted last year. And I think they do a pretty good job of identifying talent in the later rounds. Broski is why I don't think they'll do it higher than some may think. But last year we drafted a guy in the second round that I knew very little about. And so when I know very little about you, so what? They got professional scouts to do all the work. If they saw a steal or a gem that I didn't, by all means pull the trigger. If it's pulled too high for me, maybe I might be like, but give me like T Miles say, Jade gonna be my Khalif gonna get targets on your team. Rest assured for that one, sir. He won't be he's not strictly a return man. They paid him almost $6 million. That's not just for that. He will service some of your deep threat out there. The young guy will help you out. But Jade, I'm not willing to believe Jade is still too raw when I saw some of the most important moments in the season happen and Jade was on the receiving end of those balls. And I don't recall last year, I don't recall the drops being a Jade issue at all. And he was the low man on the totem pole. I don't see the regression for him at all. I believe that Randall L will get him going to keep going. And if he's still too raw, I got to believe that the rookie that you bring in is too raw as well. So where would the veteran presence or where would the cooked guy come in at? Because right now we talking about guys that's raw. And if Jade is a year in with productivity, a new guy who don't have the same gravitas as him so far, because you'll be lower than him on the depth chart until proven otherwise. Tell me how that work out. So I'll be curious to know about that one, just to know that I don't think that Khalif is here for one particular job, but he could be, and the draft is going to give us opportunity to see if that's true. Tomorrow's going to give us opportunity to make that true. Maybe we see a guy we cannot pass up. Let's Broski. I'm not much of a condescending type at all. I'm a big asshole and I'm a bit of a jerk. But to ask anybody in this chat who's better between Luther Burden and Jade Walker is asinine. And I speak of one of them being potentially your number one receiver, who was a second round pick, and the other one was an undrafted free agent. I understand that, but we are talking about the guy that will be coming in because you said they might draft one. So a guy's draft pedigree could be higher than Jade's, but Jade has already produced. I'm not speaking about Luther at all. We're speaking about a new guy. Luther could be your number one. So I don't know if we got a misconstruing right there, but those two don't compare at all. I'm speaking of Jade Walker in comparison to the new guy that we would draft that you spoke of, because I don't know that the new guy is better than Jade already. So if I were to use the analogy of him being too raw, just because the new guy is not a undrafted free agent wouldn't mean that he's not too raw. Would you agree or disagree? Just so that I make sure we talking about the same thing in that one. Because otherwise, if Luther Burden is in the conversation for your one, far away from Jade and anybody they bring in my estimation, just for Luther. Maybe I'm too much of a Luther fan, but Luther pales in comparison to those guys right there. I can understand him being able to being ready, but one, Ken is a part of the chat. I know you spoke to Ken already. Me and Ken got a bet. Ken got rounds 1 through 4 as a bet. I have every round after that. Bears won't be drafting no wide receiver in the second round. I don't see that. No way on Jesus green earth I could see us having the issues we have on defense and they go draft a wide receiver in the second round. But you heard it here first, y'all. Because I don't know if the chat will be around, but we're going to say it out loud so we can make sure it's on camera and make sure it's on audio. Broski Bear already, so if nobody knows, they said Broski Bear said that the Bears need a wide receiver, could draft one higher than people think. So that was the impetus for this conversation. That's where it started. And he's stating that we could possibly draft a wide receiver in the second round. So I disagree with it. But next year, this time, as we get to do in a lot of other streams, we get to play the replay, the rewind machine. And if we got to rewind and the Bears pick the wide receiver in the second round, I'm going to be pissed twice. Happy for the team, fully trusting of what the process is, but I'm going to be a two-time loser in that I'm going to have lost an argument or a debate with Broski Bear and his conviction on the situation. And I will have lost a tangible bet, TMP, on 1 through 4 and the other rounds. They are all targets to need. That's why it's hard for me to believe I would spend a second round pick on a wide receiver. But hey, the way they turn these rocks over and they leave these stones unturned, we're gonna be alone for the ride out here, broski. But this is because obviously this signing impacts the way in which they do approach free agency for me, Stu. And and that's the reason why I like it, Stu, because like you said, they can shock the hell out of me and go BPA and take that receiver that I don't think they're gonna take. Just like Broski said, they could do what you said, trade back and do something we never expect in the second round or something like that. But now, and it's so the crazy thing about that is, so last year, Broski Bear, I predicted we would have 3 second round picks, and nobody resisted that one. But the 4 people that was in my chat thought I was crazy when we did that stream last year when I came up with trade scenarios and I had the Bears end up with 3 second round picks. They thought I was out of my mind. I am, but not about that. I was right. Okay. I mean, hey, but look though, I want to put it out there on wax, as we would say back in my day, because if it comes to fruition that this shit was true, and what you saying right now, go ahead and you drop down and second round, we get another skill position player that I didn't see coming, bro. The name, the person, the time, it was there. They're gonna be able to pull this back up and realize, like, hey, Post disagreed with me, and we're gonna be sitting here in the stream next year. You're gonna be like, remember when I said, and I told you so, dude. So I got no problem with understanding that when you right, say I told you so, and I ain't got no problem. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how I gotta go. Rich, I'm pretty sure when they sit in these manager meetings with the scouts and everything, they throw 1,000,001 scenarios like they got a draft simulator at the wall. I'm absolutely sure of this without being sure. I know they out there trying to get everything going the way they can, because otherwise, what's the purpose? Everybody don't have the same like-minded thought process in there. Everybody's not gonna have the same letter grade. Like right now, we doing a poll. We about to get another one out here for Khalif Raymond in the secondary. Everybody not gonna have the same grade. Some people will, some people won't. But we're gonna talk about it. Did you like it? Did you like it? And one day I'm gonna try. I don't know when I'm gonna try it out, but I'm gonna try out figuring if we can get some music, like a little background stuff for somebody like that, just so that I don't bore y'all with my mindless chattering and some of this tip tapping on this keyboard, baby. We gonna leave it there. Nobody gets F for me, baby. That we go defensive tackle, safety, DN in our first 3. You would be cool with that? I I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I know they talked about Dylan Tyneman and everything already. I got no problem if they wait and get a guy like Bud Clark that can pair up with Kobe. If it was the Tyneman they wanted to go after, they could. But if they wanted to they interviewed Devin Neal already. I believe is his name, from Arkansas. So, maybe he is the quarterback replacement for the team out there. Maybe a Tariq Stevenson could be a nickel, revitalize himself with a different role, perhaps. You got to move them deck chairs around and hope we can go ahead and see exactly what works best for everybody. I know everybody may not be happy with the people that are still on the roster or people that are moving into new positions, but I got to be able to see how the cake comes out and how it tastes before I can go right into being annoyed with that. Linebacker beast of a position. We signed 2 linebackers already, and we seeing what the grade is out there, because linebacker with Devin Bush. Devin Bush got his first true display of what he could be as a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I believe 2019 was when he was drafted by the Steelers. So another one of those reclamation projects like a Jedrick Wills that was a high pick, has the opportunity to revitalize himself, and in the last 2 years in Cleveland did just that. Now the speculation is to wonder if he can repeat his performance because of the situation that he was in Cleveland. You were with a Myles Garrett for multiple years. You were with a Mason Graham last year. Loudstro, peace, man. Thank you for hanging out in the background, man. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Pull up on us tomorrow, man. We're going to do that live draft interaction. Everybody going to vote for who we picking, man. Make sure you here. Go Cubs, go. Agent might get traded. That might be on draft day. And like you said, if the price is right, for the right price, they'll do the right thing, man. I'm certain they will. I got no thoughts that say otherwise. That they wouldn't go ahead and do exactly what they need to do when it comes to that right there. And let me see while we out here, because I know it's getting a little dark. So let's see if we want to lighten the mood a little bit at night. Let's see if that give us a little bit of, make us feel like we just started again instead of getting back down. You dig? And Broski, if they trade him, that's fine. If they don't trade him, never mind. Oh, works for me. Hey, same difference for it, Rach. Sometimes high means bye. Let's find out. Devin Bush is looking to give you part 2 of his career here. I think that Devin is one of the prototypical types, Day Tillman, for my system. I think that CJ GJ is going to rock out in Buffalo for you guys. But I think that the guys we brought in, especially a Devin Bush, going to be able to be one of the most underrated yet most productive signings of the offseason, not just for the Bears, but in the NFL. I think that he has given himself the opportunity to revitalize his career. Last 2 years have been kind of noteworthy, to say the least, in Cleveland. He has given himself the opportunity to, 1, come out here and get new money. 2, he is coming to a franchise right now that is on the rise and it's given him a winning opportunity. So I want to see if he is able to go ahead, lay into it heavily, dedicate himself to the playbook. Can you be the guy in the middle that, or the guy on the outside, I should say, that pairs well with a DeMarco Jackson? DeMarco is able to, in his second season or whatever, is able to go ahead and make himself a relevant guy, Bears for life. Like, can we see Bush make DeMarco Jackson better, because he is still relatively young? Can we see both of those young guys continue to ascend and give us some years of health and continuity for a price that a TJ and a, what do you call it, TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds did for us for the last few weeks or whatever or the last few years, I should say. I wasn't always the over the top production, but it was always steady as she goes and most productive. And I think that will be replicated if they draft somebody else. They could, but I think that a person like a Hippolyte, look out for a person like Ruben Hippolyte to either fully immerse himself in that last position out there and beat out Noah Sewell, or you might see a guy like him drop back into being a safety or something in that hybrid frame. And Stu Dog says Steelers saw how Brisker ended that game and picked him up. I'm sad to see him go. At the same time, I have to understand that um he wouldn't have took that deal from the Bears, man. He would have not have taken that deal from the Bears. For us specifically, it would have been one of those deals where Pride would have gotten. I think it's a Pride signing. I would take a 1 year deal from an outside source to give myself the leverage to be a stud. But for them, I'm not willing to do so. And yes, Zay Frazier is going to be one of those guys that nobody thinks is going to be relevant, man. But I think Zay is going to be gold, big body. Now I'm fearful of some of that Nashawn Wright with a tall guy like him. But I will say that Peanut Tillman was 6'3", and Peanut didn't get beat all over the field. So at that point, I won't be too upset about that right there. So I think that Zay Frazier will be a critical part to moving forward. It's just all a matter of seeing how people acclimate and bring themselves into the fold. Let's see what we got right here when we talk about the final grade. All right, so the Khalif Raymond grade. Everybody got their grade in for us right there. Make sure you voted on the poll. Do you like the signing, and what is the grade for Khalif Raymond? Right now, the poll leads with a C. Anybody else want to get their vote in before we move to the next poll? We're going to talk about these moments right here just to kind of summarize and wrap some things up for us. First off, I know the line has changed and we don't have much opportunity to analyze the continuity. But do we think this year the Bears offense can be better or will be better than it was last year? Type yes in the chat or no or not yet. Or matter of fact, I do it in the poll sense so we can get there. Let's get there this way. And Bears for Life said it. He says Zay is like an extra draft pick for us this year because we don't see him at all. We hadn't seen him at all. We don't know what he's capable of, but we do like the physical build up and stature to him. At least I do. And I think that those things right there don't really. He's going to Al Harris University this year. He's going to Al Harris University. I love it. Do you go to university? Yes, they go to university. I'm with it. We got a C for the signing out there. Y'all obviously know I can't vote on polls, but I can create them. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. Let me see. Is this Bears offense better than last year's? And these are our options right here. These are the answers. Bears offense better than last year? Yes. No. Not sure. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Get it together. So, Rachel, let me tell you. Had I known or not been so ignorant and not finding out that broadcast journalism and things like that could be my way into ESP, I would be better than Stephen A. Smith. No. I mean, I probably have me a statistician job somewhere, Bristol. I'll be living La Vida Loca, but things wouldn't turn out the way they would. I wouldn't be on you. Life has a way of life, and we do the things we got to do. Right now, we're trying to figure out, is the Bears' offense better than last year's? And while the offensive line gives me pause, but Stu, for me, I don't need to see DJ um, as a litmus test. I bank the offense being better than last year on the sheer premise of continuity. Your quarterback, exactly what you just said, taking another leap, and your offense in mass taking another leap. All of your young receivers will be a year older. Rome will be healthy. Can Rome ascend to where he was the first 4 weeks of the season and beyond? Can Luther, with more targets and no DJ, go ahead from day one and make himself more integral to the offense? How much will Colston Loveland continue to improve this year to where he is a constant focal point? Not to mention, will they address anybody else to add to the running back room that goes with Thunder and Lightning and DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monungai? Yes, everybody better stop dropping the ball. Will Jade be all day again? Because he was lights out last year when it came to getting the ball out there. And see, for me, Laustro, I don't think you lose tackling efficiency for stripping the ball, only because I need people to understand that the person who epitomized turnover in the Peanut Punch, Peanut Tillman, never sacrificed tackling for security or tackling efficiency. His efficiency didn't drop, in my estimation, due to him trying to jar you away from the ball. So makes me wonder how those things go right there. And missing DJ and Ozzy for me, Ozzy is missed the most, if you ask me. Dolman, I think they got a decent. I think they got a. Now that's what it is right there. I don't want too many rips of the ball. No ripping away. Because if you come with the punch can allow you to still just kind of in one motion grab and wrap up, right, Laustro? Like I think that's how that go. You come straight through with that peanut punch and boom, reach down, and now you can lock hands on somebody right around their back, like you getting a hug. So I think, like you say, less of the crazy things about that. And yes, I'm telling you, Stu, Peanut, maybe because he don't do FBI work no more, he gonna have time this off season to come in and teach that peanut punch. Maybe Al Harris collab with him. You know, they peers. They played together in the league on opposite sides, you know, but they brothers in arms. So I'm thinking it's gonna give it a perfect opportunity for Al to coach up a lot of new people. Think about that. We talked about Cam Lewis. We talked about Kobe Bryant. We talked about Zay Frazier, whomever else they might add to the room. Terrell Smith is fairly new to the room because he's not had the opportunity to play under Al and everything. You got 4 or 5 new guys that all still in some ways have familiarity that are coming to the secondary, and you hope that some of the ways in which those things are put together are going to be able to give you your best opportunities at plugging the holes in a very pragmatic way in the draft. They're realizing that once the draft is over, we're going to have those post-June cuts that still keep happening. You're going to have training camp cuts for any other depth pieces that you might want to round out your roster once we're done. So even though the draft comes about, we get our depth charts together and everything, this process is year-round. They still creating salary cap space in some ways, or at least leaving available space for us, because you have to have a contingency fund in the middle of the season. Let's say you notice that what you did wasn't enough and we need to go get something else, or somebody got hurt. Those things have to be accounted for. And as much as I, the fan, want to spend all my money at the candy store like I'm 5 years old and mama gave me $2, I need to realize that I have to make it last forever. Keith Sweat said that back in the day. If y'all don't know who he is, make it last forever. You got to do this. You got to make it last forever. If you don't, your ass go broke. We know broke people. We don't want the Bears to revert to broke habits and doing broke shit. And so for me personally, I think that the way in which they went about the offseason so far, we didn't just sign random players. Didn't just, pick down in the hat and grab some guys out. I think the Bears front office clearly, and I won't say front office, the tandem in totality, the front office and the coaching staff, they focus on the trenches. They instantly went out and got your new center, and they will continuously go through the motions to get you your long-term solution. They got you different options at left tackle until our left tackle was able to return. They got us some depth pieces along the defensive line that should be able to accentuate the positive, meaning be the best, most efficient rotation players that they can be and cause chaos when you're in there for those 30% of the plays or so that you might get. And they address roster depth. The team had a lot of turnover. The coach was obviously going to go ahead and prune what he did not think was necessary. They made some tough decisions in the trades of people like a DJ so that they can get under the cap. And they also have to be collaborative and understanding exactly what the task at hand is, which is continued success this year and beyond. And I know some radio hosts say that they're not trying to win this year with the way in which they're addressing the pass rush. I say that's a full of shit statement. It's inconclusive to say the least. It will render some scrutiny if things don't go the way that you want them to go or should go once we get into the crux of the season and the production has to be there. I will totally agree that if things are not working, criticisms are warranted then. But oftentimes we are not put in a position to say, I told you so in this iteration of the Bears, meaning the totality of everybody that's here now. And so until this staff holistically gives me the reason to question how they move, I think that it tells us that they feel some urgent needs in free agency, but they didn't go off the deep end and do so. But they plan on literally drafting the best players available. What does that mean in the draft? We can be in a position to grab elite offensive talent. I know I don't agree with it or see it that way, but Broski did bring up the situation where we could possibly go ahead, Roman, and Ron Winarski, set a bear down. But they say, we might get a wide receiver or offensive talent, playmakers. If we were to get one of those guys, two of those guys, running backs later on, who knows? Future defensive cornerstone is something that we could walk away with very easily. We could walk away with two if you do the right scouting, do your due diligence. Ron Winarski. Is it Ron Winarski? I think that's what it is. I think I got it right this time, Ron. And if I got it right this time, Ron, hit that like button for me and give me a thumbs up if I said Ron Winarski correctly. And bear down, brother. Maybe we get game-changing defenseman, a game changer that's a lockdown corner. Maybe we get another. I appreciate getting it right, man. Sorry I ran them all together in the initial. Hope you've been well. Finally got it right, man. I feel so good about that. I pride myself on pronunciation. And if I wasn't able to pronounce that correctly, let alone enunciate, I would have been as sad as a giraffe. Some people might call him G Honda. Anyway, let's get back to it. I got a couple last questions for you guys. Round 1 of the NFL draft. What position did the Bears draft? Type in the chat. And I think Ron started out defensive end and the safety is where it's going, but in particular, which one of those first round, what are we drafting? Let me know. Type that in the chat because tomorrow, we will have a full 7-round mock draft. We will have a poll for each individual move we make, and I want to know everybody's thoughts. Are we going to draft the guy? Who are we going to draft? Are we going to trade back? Are we going to, X, Y, and Z? We got so many options, but we will use all of those options tomorrow. Bears for life, Laustro, Ron. We're going to use all of them because we're going to put it in the chat. Y'all going to vote on it. And when you vote on who you want, we're going to make the move happen. Maybe that move happens and everybody's happy, but we do know the majority of the people will be happy. What I know is this, and I know this I know this to be very, very true. That's what I want to say. If we put out a poll to vote on how you feel on a given player, and then we make a subsequent move based on the majority of the decisions in the poll, nobody that did not vote in the poll could actually be offended because didn't vote. And so if we have any ties, I will be the tiebreaker. I'll take on that particular onus. Other than that, we will let democracy ring. We have a lot of good players that we will look at tomorrow in the draft. Both seconds for another first. I don't know who will be. I personally, Cash, quiet. I personally wouldn't like that myself. I want 57 and 60 are so close together. I want those picks to stay exactly where they are. Shh. Give me a moment. Give me 1 minute, people. Deepest of apologies. Somebody want to make a lot of noise over here while I'm on stream because he hears my wife, and that's unacceptable. I don't care if he hears anything. It's no burglar. He got to learn to pipe down right now because he's doing too much. He got to pipe it down. Look at you. He want. So safety is what we're gonna get first. But you say you want K McDonald. I get you. I get it. We're gonna do a recap over here. Mind the players we lost because the defense is bottom. Oh. Thank you, Laustro. I cannot be mad at players that I lost that didn't ultimately produce because had they produced, then we would be losing something. But the numbers didn't bear it out that way. So if you did not produce with that unit, and your coach clearly told you that he was going to have production in the top half for his defense this year because he's never had that, I think he hell bent on having his defense be as efficient and impactful as his offense. And I don't see that changing this offseason because we didn't aggressively attack situations the way in which people wanted us to. So we had to give an overall grade. Let's get our last situation going for a poll as we see not sure for this particular poll right there. No says 45. Not sure says 44. I don't know when that came about. We'll let no stand. It really did have a tie when I pulled the poll down, but hey, no, we're not better. We'll leave it at that. The chat has spoken. Let's get to our last grade here. What will we give the overall free agent grade? Free agency overall grade. Let's see what you guys got for us as we wrap it up today. We got an A, we got a B, we got a C, We got a you later. Poll is up. Throwing it up, throwing it up. There we go. Free agency overall grade. What do we say? What will we give all of the moves that the guys got going on? Cash is a miniature golden doodle. And the old Cashy with a K. I come from a long line of K's in here, Stu. So everybody's name has a K in it. Starts with the K, I should. Little bitty Cash. He think he's a full grown. But oh, Ron, you don't like any. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I almost want to know exactly why Ron gave him an F. That's shocking to me. I'm in a strong free agent for the free agency period. I'm in a strong B minus. You say F. Boom. I want to know, as we say on these sides, why so serious? Because I mean, like, and I say like this. This is why I say that, Ron. They didn't win free agency by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think they improved the roster, and I think they avoided overpaying for people this year. Like some of the numbers I saw out there, as much as I wanted a guy like Owe, 100 mil for Owe was crazy. Or trying to go get a Bradley Chubb for more than 1 year to prove it. I can't do it. So, and I love the one player away because I think any year you can be one player away. What was the one player Seattle was away last year? Nobody can name that one player because I don't believe it was Sam Darnold was the one player. But, well, you got two starters that you needed desperately in your one in your secondary and one what do you call it, in the middle of your linebacking core. The rest of them, a lot of depth pieces. So you're right, we did get a lot of depth, mostly backups. But I'm interested in knowing that we got what we need. And despite what many people think, we need depth, we need backups, and we need good backups. And I don't think we got the run of the mill lesser than backups. I think we got, dare I say, some of the top shelf depth pieces. And I understand that that may not be the flashy thing, but it is a prudent approach. And I think that, to be able to have those guys fit in seamlessly, in my estimation, be able to acclimate a guy like a Kyler, perhaps, to him and Kobe playing together and being a dynamic duo, to potentially drafting another linebacker like a Lewis or Elam Moore or something like that. I think those are opportunities to get better in your linebacker core, along with some of the improvements from year to year that I anticipate players making. Now that we have coaching and coaching staffs that have given me a reason to believe that they can develop players. And so sometimes your best strategy in the off season is simply not making mistakes, not overpaying for people, not retaining the wrong guys for the sake of nostalgia, and being able to prune where necessary and eliminate emotion and feelings when it comes to it, because oftentimes that may send us down a rabbit hole of lacking in productivity because I wanted a fan favorite to stay around. So when we step back and look at what they did this offseason, I think the theme is pretty clear for us. They didn't go flashy. They didn't go for headlines. They went for roster stability. I think stability of the roster and stabilizing the frame of the house before we start to build outward and get all of the accoutrements and things of that nature are really going to put us in a situation to get the best players available on all sides. We strengthen the trenches. whether we see it that way or not. And it is not the finishing fortifications, but we did things to reinforce. We added the depth pieces that most people do gloss over because they're not the shiny everybody needs. But they prepared themselves for this year, I think, in terms of the draft and for the next phase of team building uh, in said draft and beyond moving forward with the next year. So I think that the real moment is still to come as far as this offseason goes to really go about culminating the way in which we give our final or lasting impressions on the offseason. Because when the clock starts, how can I say it? The clock is going to start ticking. The NFL draft is slowly approaching. I think we got maybe a month and a half left. The free agency delivered as many important letters as it could. Special packages that get put into the mailbox. Stuff that everybody want to come out and see. Kids can't wait to come out in the summertime, get the mail and get the packages. That's what we call those draft picks. And I think those draft picks, unfortunately for some fans, and reluctantly, I should say, but fortunately for all of us, those guys give us the opportunity to put stock into hoping that they had a franchising delivery that we hope Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, DA, Ron wanted all the top guys. Hey, we all want the top guys. We all want fantasy football drafts. We all want to be able to spend with no salary cap. The fact of the matter, that is not the case. Years pass. There have been some mistakes made. Those mistakes have to be paid. And some can be capitalized or recouped upon. Thank you for hanging out with me, Rach. I will catch you on the other side with the SBC. And you just kind of hope that this year's mistakes have not been made. You go out there, you buy the car you can, you get to work, you stack your money, you go out next year, you buy an even better car, but you make sure that you got going on this year opportunity for success, for stability, and for consistency in the Ben Johnson era. If you enjoyed the stream today, I want you to go ahead and hit that like button for me as we wrap up today. I want you to hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. Share this video. Share a few old ones for your boy. Hit those playlists. Like I told you, we got 3 different playlists for you to check out in addition to a playlist for shorts. Go ahead and check them all out when you get an opportunity from start to finish. See where the channel has grown. See what things we can continue to improve upon. I apologize for the construction work that just randomly popped up out of nowhere. But share this content with another Bears fan. And remember, best way I can put it to you guys is I appreciate your time. Till next time, Foster. And until next delivery, Postman 1914. This is Mailbox Sports. Terrible contracts in the end will not be the way in which we begin new season. Talk to you guys tomorrow as we get into interactive draft. Because the draft is coming to us. We want to find out just what you think about who the next and newest Bear should be. Bear down. We out. We gone.